I am very sorry, Marva, but we heard the music before and then it stopped. And so I didn't realize that that was the prelude. So, okay. Anyway, so once again, okay, into the mic, Mike. Good morning. My name is Mike Darnell, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees of this congregation. Welcome to all of you. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart is a welcoming community encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual, spiritual, and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. If you would like to learn more about this fellowship, please look at our website at uufe.org and join us after the service for our coffee hour. For the listening enjoyment of all, we ask you at this time to please turn off all cell phones. Also, if you need hearing support, please ask for help at the sound desk. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Judy Darnell, and I have our announcements, and I've got quite a few today, and I just couldn't whittle them down. This is a reminder that on May 6th, there will be a memorial celebration for Charlie Bussard at the Michigan Conservation Club at 1 o'clock. Be sure to let Caroline Anderson know if you plan to attend so she can notify Charlie's family so they can have enough food for everybody. And there's that. On a happier note, many thanks to our spring cleanup crew yesterday. They included Linda Becker, William Becker, Andrea Houghton, Johnny Houghton, Ray Enfield, David Enfield, Linda Gill, Taylor Chadwick, Jenny Hopper, Chuck Bauer, and Mike Darnell, and then I brought some snacks. A follow-up date will soon be set because there's still stuff to do, but they did do a lot. Our semi-annual County Road 9 roadside cleanup will take place Saturday, May 6th from 9 to 10. Meet at CVS at the corner of Bristol and Johnson Streets. We need a team of 16 to get this done as quickly as possible. So sign up on the sheet on Ivy Island, and Steve Kripe has more information. And please join Laura Snow and me to discuss Octavia Butler's futuristic novel, The Parable of the Sower. This story explores one version of how our world might be if current environmental and social trends continue. We will meet here at 7 o'clock on May 2nd. And there's some interesting theology being discussed in there too. Committee chairs and everyone else who has news to share with the congregation, remember that the focus deadline is Tuesday. Everyone wants to know what's happening in your committees, so even if what you're doing seems totally mundane, please let us know. The UU Women's Spring Retreat will be held from June 2nd through June 4th at Pilgrims Park in Princeton, Illinois. There will be a variety of workshops, vendors, worshipful experiences, and a keynote speaker who is Solitary Witch Martha Kirby Capo. Information and registration are at the Women's Connection website, and I'll post this after the service. Last week's attendance, believe it or not, was 72 adults and children in person, on Zoom, and on YouTube. Our collection brought in $219, which we shared with the Elkhart Women's Shelter. You may have heard that Mike and I have decided to move from our home on what is now a very busy street. We have found a quiet, cozy nest in Brown County that we plan to close on in a couple of weeks. We will miss UUFE and our friends here, but we're not gone yet. Lastly, today is Bristol's and Brooklyn's 7th birthday, so let's sing them out with a birthday song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bristol. Happy birthday to you.
I was looking for that little stool. Anyway, I'll stand up. Oh, thank you. Well, the word musing, I'm Emily, and I'm really tickled to do the morning musing. I've been doing a lot of musing lately. And I came up with trees that stand out in my looking back on my life, there are certain trees that stand out who've been pretty amazing teachers at different periods. And the things that they've taught me are fascinating in the overall. I think about the clingstone, speech tree that was in our garden when I was a very little girl. And I learned then that trees provide food, and wonderful food. And sometimes it's difficult to eat, but it's always worth it. Looking at nuts, pretty difficult to eat, definitely worth it. Later on, just the catalpa flowers, those big funny seeds that they have and those beautiful flowers that look like orchids. And I just have an image in my mind of first, really seeing and recognizing the beauty of that flower. And I've never seen any orchid that surpassed it. They're thought to be a nuisance now, but they are lovely. Then moving on a bit until I was probably 11 or 12, maybe 8 or 10, playing for hours and hours and hours under a willow tree, completely protected from the world, completely safe, shaded, comfortable, with a good friend, someone that just was a very, very good friend. We liked the same things, did the same things. Both kind of lonely and yet very happy under that tree. Then I come to fragrance and the wonderful, wonderful fragrance of a pine grove, where it's just nothing but pine trees, nothing but that evergreen scent and the deep, deep mulch of needles that make the place soundless except for the sound of the tree itself and the wind it plays with. And then to another tree that really was such an amazing experience. It was in front of my house in that area by the road where the trees are. And we had a whacking old lightning storm, and I love storms. I try to go out in them or be close to them. And that tree was struck by lightning right in front of my eyes. And I just felt really badly. It was a beautiful tree. It was a young tree. Just a lovely thing. And I went over the next morning, and put my arms around that tree. I can't tell you why, but I did. And I could feel this incredible disorganization. That whole tree seemed to be just vibrating inside. And I learned later that its flow from root to tip, had been completely disrupted by the lightning. And the tree was just trying to find out how to live. And that feeling was just amazing. And I related it to us, when we're struck by lightning in one form or another, and how we lose our balance and our touch with reality. And that little tree, wasn't that little, but that tree later died. And that's definitely a tree that taught me we're very like our brothers and sisters in nature. Then when I came to high school, I was in the choir. And there was a song that we sung that I loved. And I think the verse was written by Joyce Kilmer. I'm going to kind of read it slowly. I'm not going to try to sing it. But I'd like you to just kind of think about the words. I think that I will never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the sweet earth's flowing breast. A tree that looks at God all day and raises leafy arms to pray, who has the privilege to wear a nest of robins in her hair. Poems are read by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. And at that time in my life, I had already dropped out of the church because I just couldn't make any sense of what was being said and what was being done, just in a normal, everyday way by every human there. And actually that led to spending a great deal of time studying different religions, but that was down the way. But the idea that only God can make a tree kind of awakened me to the concept of what God really was, not necessarily an explanation of mysteries, not necessarily all-powerful, not powerful, punishing, unpunishing. But it was such a clear thing to me from that song that was really the answer, that only God, whatever you call the creative power, why we're all here, can make not only trees, but everything else. And it was huge. 12-year-olds can be very, very, I think, very complicated, thinking about a lot of things, looking for answers. And I just found a lot of peace in that understanding, that I do not understand how a tree came to be, but I do know that what we call God in our culture, primarily, is where it all comes from. And I've been very, very grateful for that my entire life, for that understanding and all the others. Thank you.
For a long time, we had a truck with a bumper sticker on it that said "Trees are the answer." We believe that. Hi, my name is Dwight, and I've got a Earth Day prayer written by Vern Barnett. In the spirit of indigenous traditions, Infinite Spirit, sometimes called Grandfather, Grandmother, Father Sky, Earth Mother, Creator, we gather to praise your creation, to honor the swimmers and crawlers, the four-legged and the winged ones. We give thanks for the beauty and glory of creation and open our hearts to new ways to understand our place in the universe. Not the center or focus, but a humble and balanced place where every step we take becomes a prayer, where every word we say makes harmony with the vast, vibrating cosmos, and where we know we are singing the song of life. We pray to know more deeply that we are in the garden where every plant and animal and speck of dust is a living prayer. Without our brothers and sisters of the plant and animal kingdoms, the human family would end. So we want to bless them as they bless us. Great Spirit, let us remember it is not how we talk, but how we walk. When we say we love animals, let us protect them. When we say that we love the plant people, let us honor them by living lightly on the earth. I think my wife and I are still working out the details of this presentation. And I'm wrong. We ring the gong 3 times, once for those who came before and made a place for us, once for those who are here now, and once for those who will come after us and build on the dream. Today's chalice lighting is from the UUA.org website, and it's by Jennifer McLaughlin. Like the first hint of green. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud grows slowly and opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be like the first hint of spring, renewed by the warmth of the sun rays, and ready to emerge with a new energy, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. I'll just go ahead and start us in the unison here. Unison covenants on your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant.
Every Sunday we take up a loose plate offering that we share with an agency or organization that shares our values. And today we're going to share our offering with the Elkhart County Jail Chaplaincy. Please go ahead and take up the offering. Thank you, Marva. That was beautiful. I'm Chuck. Last week we shared with each other joys and concerns of our beloved community, most of which are directly connected to one or more of us at UUFE. And in this new tradition, this week we recognize some happiness and concerns of our global community. All that is shared today comes from beyond ourselves, whether from the other side of the county or the other side of the world. These things affect us indirectly by impacting the world we live in. This effort helps keep us conscious of efforts outside of UUFE to bring and keep our awareness of losses and gifts, pain and beauty from beyond ourselves. This is not an effort to catalog every act of tragedy or heroism, or to tell you what you should be caring about, but we can bring and bear witness. Briefly speak the event you are calling to our attention from your seat, and I will repeat it into the microphone. And if you have any questions, please see me after the service. Please do be brief. Please hold personal sharings for joys and concerns on third Sundays, and please avoid politically charged comments that we may each evaluate differently. I'd like to start out with the sadness that comes from some recent shootings that have happened with young people that have been accidental, that have happened around the country, and that we all want to have never happen again. What other sharings can you call out to me?
The concern for the people of Sudan.
The concern for the people of Sudan and the civil war that's going on. Peace in Ukraine, which we hope to see soon. Anything else? Okay. May light and warmth come to all who both need and bring it. May we grow in awareness of our global community and our care of it. And may we ever be grateful for all we have been given. Thank you.
If you would stand, if you're willing and able, and let's sing together hymn number 121, We'll Build a Land. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come and build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like a river flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like a river flowing stream. We'll build a land, building up ancient cities, raising up devastations from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come build a land where sisters
good morning, and happy Earth Day +1. My name is Jeff Zavatsky. I'm the director of the Elkhart Environmental Center. And I gotta say, what a perfect setting to celebrate nature. I feel if I turn around and speak, it might be kind of rude. So, but you know, you have the eastern redbud that's blooming. You got the birds. I think I saw a rabbit go by earlier. So I don't know if you brought that in for today's topic, but brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Before I get started, just a quick show of hands. Who has never been to the Elkhart Environmental Center? Raise your hand if you've never been. Okay. Who has never even heard of the Elkhart Environmental Center? Raise your hand. A few? Okay. If I told you those are the two most popular questions and statements that I get almost on a daily basis, would you believe me? Yeah. The Elkhart Environmental Center is probably Elkhart's best kept secret. When I tell them that we've only been here for 32 years, sometimes their mouth hits the floor, but we're tucked back in the southwest corner. Part of our property is still Elkhart County, in fact. But we are a trash to treasure story. And I do have a video that I'm going to play a little bit later on, but I'm going to give you a little quick history of what the Environmental Center is, what we do and some of the departments we work with, and what we can do for you, and then maybe what you can do for us as well. So the Elkhart Environmental Center is the city's largest green space that it owns. Most people don't know that. You know, McNaughton's pretty big. We're bigger. We're about 80 acres, nestled inside city limits. Not too many cities can say that. We have about 60 acres that's our main campus, and we have a new trail that we take care of, another 20 acres. We are the old Lusher Avenue city dump. It's a dump, literally and figuratively, because the dump is still there. This is a clay cap dump. It started in the 50s, and that was a very common practice back in the day. Let's go out in the country and let's just throw our garbage out there. It was an open dump, residential and commercial. Unfortunately, there were a lot of fires out there. That's why the Lusher Avenue Fire Department, Station 2, was created. They responded so much. Oh, and did I say we're on the river? Let's put a dump next to the river, upstream from the city. What could possibly go wrong? So EPA was created in the late 60s. The city took ownership and operated under a special permit and was shut down in the late 70s, early 80s. And we've all driven past old dumps that have been closed. Big pile, mound, grass over it, and washed our hands, called it a day. And the city could have absolutely done that, but we didn't. We created this site, the city created this site as an education tool to the residents, guests, and visitors. We have trails, ponds, vernal pools. We're creating a reclaimed site. We're bringing Mother Nature back to what was once a barren land. So the dump is clay cap, basically meaning they line the bottom, the top with clay, a layer of clay. So the water, when it rains, does not go down to the dump, contaminate our water supply, and who knows what else. It's a wet site. Water goes down a few feet and goes sideways. And we direct the water down to some wetlands so some plants can uptake and filter that out before it slowly makes its way to the river as it's intended to do. So that's kind of a quick history of it. But I did see a lot of hands that have not been out to our site. So I think this might be a good time to play the video of what we do. And it's got some photos and some sound and action on there. You can kind of see what we do.
Our Environmental Center, or EEC, is an environmental education center located on the Elkhart River, and at more than 66 acres is also the largest green space in the city of Elkhart, but it wasn't always this way. The EEC has a storied history. Long before the EEC existed, the land was farmed for vegetables, apples, strawberries, raspberries, and grapes. In 1958, the city purchased 30 acres from Leroy Hasbrook. From 1959 to 1972, the city of Elkhart operated what became known as the Lesher Avenue garbage dump, starting about 50 feet from the Elkhart River. Many local members of our community still remember the site as the place they used to go to dump their trash. Fires erupted so often here at the dump that a new fire station was built nearby. The dump was closed to the public in 1972, but continued to operate under a special permit until 1981, when it was closed completely. In 1984, the State Board of Health required the city to cover the entire site with several feet of soil. Eventually, the site would also be capped with 2 feet of clay to protect the groundwater. In 1989, the city announced that it would create the Elkhart Environmental Center and worked with the University of Notre Dame to restore the site. In 1991, the Martin Foundation funded the construction of our now iconic log cabin, which now serves as a city office, visitor center, and program space. Over the past 30-plus years, the site has expanded from its original 30 acres to well over 60 acres. A once barren and fire-prone dump now features prairies, wetlands, and woodlands, and is home to a variety of wildlife, including turkeys, coyotes, foxes, and deer. The site now features 11 trails, a boat launch into the Elkhart River, multiple types of gardens, and an ever-increasing list of amenities. So what do we do at the EEC? We continue restoration efforts by working with volunteers and our community partners to improve the site for visitors and wildlife. A few years ago, we redid the rain gardens in our parking lot with all native plants and used the project to create an educational video. The rain garden is now a popular place for local pollinators and a great educational feature. We manage the site according to its needs. Prairies need to be burned every 3 to 5 years to replenish soil health and keep out invasive plants. Due to staff shortages and changes over the years, our prairies haven't been burned in a long time. So we're working to restart the cycle on our western prairie. We work with volunteers and other city departments to try and burn the prairie within the guidelines of the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. Unfortunately, the prairie had too many invasive plants that were still too green and wet to burn within our short window of time, so we had to mow and herbicide the space instead. We have resown the prairie with all native plant seeds and a temporary cover crop, and will continue to mow the prairie for the next 3 years before we can reinstitute regular burning. We also work seemingly endlessly to remove invasive species and replace them with native plants. The nature of our site as a restored dump site located in the midst of industrial, residential, and urban land use means that invasive species will always be a concern. Invasive plants easily move into disturbed soil, are great at hitchhiking on people, cars, boats, and animals, and spread rapidly. We have several invasives such as Asian bush honeysuckle, poison hemlock, Callery or Bradford pear trees, Siberian elm, mugwort, oriental bittersweet, and of course many more that we are focusing our efforts on now. We work with volunteers to not only remove the invasive plants, but replace them with native plants. We work to improve the site for visitors by adding amenities and education components. Local businesses have donated volunteers and funds to build an observation deck in our man-made wetland, and add an open-air pavilion to not only expand our programming capacity, but also accommodate visitors looking for a shady and comfortable spot to enjoy a picnic. We've also added interpretive signs along our trails so visitors can learn about and engage with our site even when staff aren't around. The biggest and most important aspect of our jobs is education, and it comes in many forms. Throughout the history of the EEC, we have hosted field trips and summer camps for grades K through 12. Our curriculum usually includes a focus on waste and recycling and will often branch out into other environmental topics such as sustainability and environmental management. Our staff also contributes to adult education by serving as speakers or panelists for local organizations and events. We also host our own small programs for adults and families, which can cover topics such as building backyard habitats, composting, energy conservation, or land management. We also host stewardship activities such as neighborhood cleanups and river cleanups. However, as a small staff, our reach is limited, so we strive to provide additional educational opportunities such as our interpretive trail signs, self-led activities, and online resources. Perhaps the most fun and certainly largest scale education and outreach comes in the form of events. Though the EEC is the largest green space in Elkhart and has operated for over 30 years, we are considered a well-kept secret in the city. Our site is tucked back in the corner of the city off a dead-end road. Not many people know about our department, and even fewer know where we are located or what all we offer. While education is always our main goal, outreach has been a major objective as well. One of our most effective efforts at both education and outreach happens at our large events. Our largest on-site community event is Earth Day, which we host on the last Saturday of April. The site features guided hikes, a free native tree giveaway, educational displays, kids activities, and a stewardship activity. Our largest educational event is EnviroFest, which takes place the third Saturday of August. This event is too large to take place at the EEC and is instead held in downtown Elkhart. EnviroFest is the largest regional environmental festival, which features environmental and sustainable booths, vendors, kids activities, local music, a local beer and wine garden, a raffle silent auction, and more. This year will be our 25th EnviroFest, so it will include even more fun features. This event allows us to work with our partners to increase environmental education and awareness in the community and helps raise awareness of our organization as a whole. Our community partners are essential to our success. As a small department with few staff and a limited budget, we rely on our partners to help us expand our reach and impact. As you've seen, we work a lot with volunteers to have boots on the ground to get things done. In our education endeavors, we often work with the city's aquatic biologist, Dara Deegan. Dara works directly in the river to gather sampling data of water quality and the local fish population, which is available in annual reports. In the summer, Dara and interns are out on the water collecting data or out educating the community. Dara's group often collect fish from the river to display for a limited time at programs and events so that people can see and interact with their local aquatic wildlife. Dara's team has also put together several videos of their own with great information about history and current state of our local water.
I'm Courtney Quick. I'm a field biologist and I work with the Elkhart South Bend Aquatic Biology Program. One of my favorite parts about this job is getting to teach the kids about fish because their reactions are awesome. We talk to lots of different kids groups, so whether it's from a school or from a summer camp, we talk to kids of all different ages, and at different events we also talk with the general public.
This is a small northern pike. They can get a lot bigger than this, up to 40 inches here in the St. Joe River. We do have a cousin.
We do quite a few different events, but some of the main events we do every year are EnviroFest in Elkhart and then also Rhapsody in Green. People are always shocked. There's a lot of people who have never seen any fish, let alone the fish that we are able to find in the rivers around here.
Lampreys are a native fish to the river.
We have touch tanks where the kids can actually go in and just handle the fish completely on their own. They're usually larger fish. The kids can go crazy over it. It's way more exciting when people get to interact with the fish. I mean, even just in school, if you're trying to get a kid excited about something, you allow them to be active and hands-on and actually doing things with what they're learning about. So people, from kids to adults, they get really interested when they're able to actually pick up a fish and see the differences in the types of fish, and they're more willing to ask questions, and it's just more engaging for the people. We're hoping that by showing people the kinds of fish we have in our rivers, they'll be more inclined to figure out ways that they can help improve and make our rivers healthy.
So that's just kind of a quick highlight of what we do. We deal with both youth and adults. I don't want to say we focus on the youth, but we focus on the youth because they are the ones that are inheriting what we are leaving behind. And studies have shown when you reach out to kids, first grade-ish, that's when you have them hooked. And that's when you have them reeled in, no pun intended, with the fish. So that's some of the stuff that we do. But we also educate programs as far as adults on what we can do as property owners, landowners, or just wanting to volunteer and help. Put up birdhouses, put up bat houses, put up butterfly houses. Little things like that can make a difference. I joke with some of our administration staff that you're just the environmental center. I said, well, I feel that we're probably the most important job in this city. I mean, the police, heroic. They run in the direction we run away from. Firemen, they go into the burning buildings. Heroic. Our job is to save the world. But we're going to start with the city of Elkhart first and work our way out. So as a city department, we do have an important role with the residents here. We're part of the quality of place within the city. Our facility looks park-ish, but we're not. We strive for a managed site and not a manicured site. I don't want this to be a park. I don't want this to be a well-filled garden. I want this to be Mother Nature. But it needs to be managed with the species that we want there, that are native. And one of the important things that we deal with in the city are removal of non-native invasive species. And it's tough because some of them are beautiful, absolutely stunning, especially this time of year. The white trees that you see everywhere. Bradford pear, Callery pear, beautiful. Now you know why they're here, but they're taking over. They're not native. So as it pains us to remove those, there's better trees to plant. This time of year, if it's green, it's mean. Most of the things that you see this time of year that are green, out back, out the window, are not native. Some of the green bushes you see right now, especially in Woodlawn across the road, are Asian honeysuckle. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bush, broad over landscape, has bright red berries. Birds love them. Not the best things for them. They tend to spread the seeds everywhere. So as you drive around, as you drive home, I guarantee you're going to look at yards and say, oh, that's green, that's green, that's green. You're going to, in your mind going, oh, that shouldn't be there. And that's why they're invasive. They're taking over. As they grow out, they shade everything, but they also produce a chemical that prevents other things from growing underneath it. So we can go into an area the size of this room with honeysuckle, clear it out, and there's nothing growing underneath it. And that's our role, to come in there and plant the good stuff, the native seeds, flowers, native bushes that help sustain our native animals around here. So that's just some of the stuff that we do up here as well. We do a lot of hikes for groups that want to come out and see nature. Some people are a little intimidated about going out in the wild. There's no bears. We get asked that a lot. Not yet. Bristol had their first accidental roadkill of a bear, so they're Michigan coming down. They used to be here, but you'd be surprised how many people living inside city limits are so uncomfortable walking in the woods. So we're there to go out and identify stuff. Not everything is poison ivy. That's another question that we get a lot. But we make sure they know what it looks like when they leave. And yes, we do have a lot of poison ivy out there. But we also have a lot of frogs, a lot of turtles. Some of the videos, some of the trail cams, coyotes, foxes, rabbits. We had a sandhill crane land a few weeks ago. And we're doing a lot of plantings and a lot of events out there. Our newest additions of 4-acre wildflower planting out in the old back side of the lot. We're going to have a hard surface paved path going around it. It's going to be a 3-season garden of native. We've partnered with the Butterfly and Bee Foundation. They're donating seeds for us, so we're going to have seeds strictly for monarchs and seeds strictly for bees in the center, and you guys will get to enjoy that. We also are going to be doing a new fun run for pollinator called the Pollinator Promenade. It's kind of a spoof in a lot of the 5Ks that you see out here, that just about everything has a 5K going. Ours is a 0.8K, okay? 0.8, half mile, loop around there. Running will be discouraged. Skipping, hopping, and there'll be points for costumes. You come dressed as your favorite pollinator. Bees, butterflies, bats, birds, moths. There's a lot of critters that help pollinate out there. So we do a lot of messaging on Facebook. That's typically we get our biggest draw. We message on the city. They do the 311 push. It's an app on your phones that you can sign up for, and you get notifications from the city and on everything that they're doing in there. We do some radio spots on NPR. We do some spots on WSDTE and WNDU. But basically, we are a public outreach, and we're here for the public. That's our goal. We want to educate, and we're also going into sustainability and resilience now. Recently, we had our first public ribbon cutting yesterday at our Earth Day event for the city's first renewable project. We got a grant. We had solar panels. Basically, it was free to the city. We have a ground mount and a roof mount. I want the Environmental Center to be a learning tool. If you're thinking about getting solar panels, come out to our place, look at it, touch it, feel it, smell it, see what it looks like. Answer any questions. I have a display that shows you how much we're producing, how much it's saving us, in turn, you as taxpayers. We have a wind generator out there as well. You may not have a roof. You may have a small area. Solar panels are the way to go. You produce more on it. But again, this is a way to show you that renewable energy, wind, solar, water, is available. Johnson Street Dam, hydro power. So we want you to come out there and take a look out there and learn as much as you can about that. So yesterday was Earth Day, April 22nd. Does anybody know how many years the world has been celebrating Earth Day? Any guesses? 53. That's very good. That's yes. But that was a trick question because every day is Earth Day. Every day is Earth Day. Yesterday was just the day we choose to acknowledge it. Yeah, the Earth, we have some struggles, and we bring that up too. But there's also accomplishments that we do as well, and that's a good time to highlight that as well. What we've been doing as the city, what some residents have been doing at their home, as far as removing invasives, also planting little pollinator patches. Maybe you don't have 40 acres, but you got a little backyard. Maybe you can do a little 10-foot by 3-foot. Do a little pollinator patch. Put some dandelions in there in springtime. Do some spring flowers. Then you have your summer flowers. Then you have your fall flowers. So you have 3 seasons of color back there. It could be a small little area. And then just mow it once at the end of fall. That seems pretty easy to do. And then let it go. It'll come back. So there's a lot of great things happening for city residents out there. We have visitors from all over. We have a Quilt Garden that people travel for it. So our name is getting out there. And I encourage you to come visit. Bring your family and friends. We are a dog-friendly place. We have events for dogs and people in the fall as well. So if you have any questions, I guess I'm here to answer them. Anyone? I can repeat the question for those online.
So would you have a handy reference guide, learning guide for a person who will soon be a first-time homeowner and would like to plan the future of a someday yard?
Great question, and absolutely. We have a little handout for our space. You come into a property that is all overgrown, the good, the bad, the ugly to remove, and then also some of the good that you can do as well. We can also provide you with sources that if you are going to do a pollinator patch or an area that can give you free seeds through DNR. They have programs out there like that. And if you have a small area or pots or plants, we have free seeds that we can give away to you as well. We are trying to get away from green lawns. Beautiful, year-round if you do it right, but it's a monoculture. If you see a true prairie and flowers, there should be multiple species of plants, flowers, bugs, insects. The more you grow, the more that will show. That rhymes. Yeah. That's a great question too, as far as maintaining and the mowing schedule. Typically, when you plant a new wildflower prairie, Question is about just mowing once a year for a pollinator patch, or do we leave it for the springtime? The long answer is it depends on how well it's growing. If you have a lot of weeds that are coming into that area, just if you have just blown in volunteer seeds, mowing it at fall will help keep the seed heads low because native plants are the slowest growing. So by mowing in the fall, you're preventing seed heads from weeds from spreading and taking over, and you're buying time for the natives to grow. Typically in a new planting, 3 years is when you'll mow. And you can mow it high. You can even weed whack it high. You just try to take the seed heads off. After about 3 years, that's when you just leave it, and it does its thing, because the space is so limited.
Am I on? Oh, I'm quiet and then I'm loud. Question from the Zoom. If I am a Cub Scout den leader, is there a size guideline for groups, too many or too little? Is there guided and loosely guided options?
Yes. We do a few, we try to have a minimum number if we're bringing staff involved, usually around 10, but we've done several hundred at a time. So just give us a call and we can work with specific programs if you're working on a merit badge or program.
Okay. We have 2 birdhouses at our house, and the last 2 years we had a bluebird come to the back one, and then it was gone, and then there were house sparrows, and I just learned that house sparrows are like an invasive animal species, and I did not know that before. Do you have any tips on keeping them away?
You are correct. So you
Hello?
are correct. Oh, I got 2 mics. 1 mic.
Hello? This is the good one?
It's like pass the mic. Yes, sparrows are not native. They are invasive, and you wouldn't know that because they are everywhere, and there are so many. But they outcompete the natives, and they're very, very abundant. Are your birdhouses made for bluebird? And it's very specific because the opening size and the diameter. Okay, so that's there's I think it's 1.5 inches is the hole, and there's some barriers you can put in. If you're able to get a photo of it, I can give you my contact, or you can give it to Oksana and Dwight, and they can get it to me. Are you able to open it up and clean the nest out? So when you see a sparrow going in there, empty it out and clean it out, because they will chase out. They're very aggressive. They are little birds, mean. Very mean birds, and there are better birds that are out there. We fight with that all the time. We put a lot of bluebirds up recently, and we have a lot of barn swallows that hate me but love those boxes that are out there. And we have some purple martin ones that we're working on rebuilding those boxes. They're just better insects eaters as far as mosquitoes and other insects. They're the birds, and they're beautiful. Bluebird. So sometimes. The opening will help with that, and then just being diligent and cleaning out sparrows. Yeah.
Let's do about 1 more question here, and then we'll move on.
I just want to encourage more outreach because I volunteered for Arbor Day yesterday and handled the parking, as people came in. And as one woman was leaving, she said, I've lived here for over 20 years. I never knew this place existed. Yeah. So you really do need to do more outreach because I do think that there are so many people who are just unaware of what you have to offer. And when are you going to get those steps painted?
Great question. The mayor actually said that to me yesterday. It's tough when your boss's boss says something, but as I tried to explain it to them, That is next year's project. We're going to be redoing the whole stairs and the ADA ramp just to make it a little bit more useful. That front door and the turning's a little awkward. So we're actually remodeling the cabbing this year. We're getting new siding, concrete siding. It looks like logs, has a higher R value. It's a one and done. We have a lot of woodpeckers out there. And our meetings start with that. That's what we hear throughout the day. So we're getting some concrete siding on that. And then next year's project is to redo that whole front facade. So, yes.
I volunteer every year at Arbor Day, love it.
Well, thank you for volunteering. And everyone, happy Earth Day. +1. Tomorrow is +2. You see the trend. And let's keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, I hope you can stay afterwards and maybe answer some questions and enjoy some refreshments over in the gathering place. And Steve, why don't you go ahead and start?
Now's it on? Okay. In the teal hymnal, Marva's going to play the standard introduction, and then we'll come in when I bring you in. Stand, and if you're willing and able, and remain standing through the benediction, and then you can sit to hear Marva's postlude. Thank you. Though below me I feel